consumers have changed their habits ever since they're consumers. So we're there, and we've been witnessing already many changes in the history of packaging. Probably the most marking ones are the significant move towards e-commerce, which is a shift that has been taking place in the last 10 years, let's say, and accelerating quite a lot during the pandemic, obviously, because people were looking for options. I think, customers are always going to bring about new demands, new requests, new requirements. And our duty as part of our ongoing work is just to make sure that we're very close in contact with our own customers, that we try and understand their needs as they progress towards the different channels of distribution, to take that example, and make sure that from the innovation standpoint within the company, we're permanently looking for ways and manners to accompany our customers towards the destination that they've chosen to take. If you take an example in a very simple manner, and that's something that most packaging producers are already experiencing today, e-commerce calls for what people wouldn't call experience, and so this unpacking experience. And this is a very different process than what we've been used to. We used to produce boxes that were on shelves, and all the appeal to the consumer was on the outside. Now we're gearing towards something slightly different, which is a very, very neutral box that doesn't say what it is, but just when you unbox, you have to help the consumer or the final customer to really enjoy what he's receiving. And typically that calls for different practices, different designs, different equipment, so in some cases. And that is really staying in contact with your customers and making sure that you understand their needs and accompany them. And also being very mindful of the trends that we see ourselves on every day. I mean, customization in box making is a request that we have more and more from a lot of customers. And let's say some customers have traditional, more volume types of approach, but many of our customers are looking for options to customize, precisely to your point. And there are, again, some technologies like digital printing or others help us to cater for those needs and be very agile when it comes to creating series of packaging that goes around the theme. If there's one specific event that, let's say celebrations that call for different design or adapted design, a lot of technologies are coming our way and help us to be more creative, more agile, and more reactive to customers' demand. The size of the boxes really depends on the types of segments that you're serving. Obviously, if you're dedicated your work to large TVs, then obviously the boxes are going to be immense because screens have increased in size quite a lot. But it is true that specifically on e-commerce, there is a request more and more to make sure that the box fits what is being shipped. And I think all e-commerce companies are really thinking, and we're helping them on that route, how to make sure that for all the types of products and that they're sending, we're going to be able to help them, adapt the size of the box so that you don't have a gigantic box for only a tiny thing in it. So, and that trend is really happening as we speak. I mean, plastic is a very useful material, and I don't think there is a competition between the two materials. It's just making sure that materials are being used in line with the expected lifetime of the product. So while plastic is fine for durable goods and built in many things that you have in your house and are going to stay there, and plastic is more of an issue when the purpose it serves is very short in time. If a plastic pouch or a plastic whatever is going to be used for a period of 2 weeks, and the degradation of that product over time is going to take a century or more, then you really have an issue. And I think that's where fiber-based packaging really has a predominant role to play. The product is essentially renewable because of sources. It's recyclable, and actually very recycled, as you well know, which is not the case of all claimed recyclable materials. And it's biodegradable. And those characteristics are basic, everyone knows that. but they are actually paramount to, in my view, the long-term success of that substrate and that material. And I can't see, given the pressure that consumers are putting on sustainable solutions across the board and more or less in every countries where we operate, I can't see a situation where paper is not over time, in particular in the packaging segment, going to win over other types of substrates. So, while we may go through turbulence every now and again, and periods can be better or worse, the long-term future, from my standpoint, for our material is very bright. As Smurfit Kappa, we've been present in Mexico for a very long time. So it's a country where we operate since 1986, and we've been present there for an extended period of time. So we've learned to enjoy this might be a weird English word, but industriousness, or how industrious Mexico is. It's a phenomenal country in terms of people, education. It's a very business-focused country, and of course the recent events and in particular the rising tensions between the U.S. and China have called for a redistribution to a degree of manufacturing, and I think Mexico is playing a paramount role in this redistribution by securing a much closer, a much more directly linked service to the United States. But Mexico is also a very big domestic market, and it would be probably foolish and incorrect to imagine Mexico just as a country that manufactures for the US. It's actually much more than that. It's a large population. It's with growing economical power and means, and a phenomenal domestic consumption on which we've been working for a long period of time. And the combination of that strong domestic drive and strong domestic market together with the nearshoring opportunity, which is a reality. I mean, Mexico has been the levels of investment that are flowing into Mexico are phenomenal. I think makes of Mexico one of the very, very attractive destinations in the region. We've invested more than $450 million in the last 5 years in Mexico, and are securing further investments there, and that shows the extent of how much we believe in the country and how much we enjoy operating there. So Central and South America are also places where we're present as Smurfit Kappa for a very long time. I mean, we've been there since the late 80s. It's really a continent of opportunity. It's a large population. There's a lot of growth, and most of those markets offer, increasing political stability, social stability, and makes it a place where it is very reasonable and very desirable to operate. We've been present in all those countries, as I said, for a long period of time, and frankly, it's been one of the key pillars of the Smurfit Kappa Group ever since it exists in its present shape. We've been acquiring companies in those regions in the last few years. We talked about Mexico just a second ago, but also in Argentina and Brazil last year. And as you get to know those markets and as you get to develop your understanding and knowledge of the market, you can really offer that same service and innovation and quality focus approach that we offer everywhere else, and really have a lot of success with it. And I would say the team in the Latin American region together with Central American region within Smurfit Kappa have delivered beautiful performance in the region, and I think have helped our customers to flourish in those markets as well. I think, obviously the general business environment has been somewhat slower than what we've seen in the immediate post-pandemic period, and 24 is following on to 23 at a somewhat lower pace than what we've experienced in the early 21 and 22. However, those markets have experienced in the past as well periods that are a bit slower and periods that are more intense. For the reasons that I've indicated before, I have all confidence that we will return progressively to better days. They're just within reach. Destocking is an element that has been mentioned by many economists. It's not so clear what is the extent of that, but it's obvious that because everything was short of supply, people have stocked. And as demand was starting to slow down, an element of stocking has taken place in many industries. So destocking is certainly an element of the situation we're seeing. And destocking, by definition, has a term to it. And so we should, I believe and I hope, see a restoration of more normal situation in the markets going back into 2024. But maybe even more important, I think it is difficult to forecast what's going to happen. And every time you forecast, normally you fail. So I think that's why, as a company, and Tony Smurfit, as the CEO of the company, has been always, very clear in his address to the company. Preparedness, that's really essential. Being agile, being responsive, being ready to adapt as and when circumstances happen. I mean, the pandemic hit us like everyone else, and we had very little time to organize, all the changes that took place, and we went through very well. So preparedness, agility, reactiveness, responsiveness, all those qualities are really the key things, because markets are changing and they will continue to change. There's nothing that we can do about that. And actually, not only there's nothing we can do about it, there's actually a phenomenal opportunity if you prepare your company right.